I mean, the most important thing I want to know right now, though, is uh, how often you get to wake surf.
As much as possible right now. I'm trying to get one more day in when we get back to Nashville. It's been a few weeks. I've been on the road for a few weeks, so Nashville weather switches about. We usually get that first week of October in, and then it gets a little too cold to get out there and boogie around. So I've had a great summer. I ended up finding a bunch of dealers um, throughout the tour this summer, and we would knock out sound check and then head to the lake and get some surfing in before showtime. So it ended up being a great summer. I thought I was going to get to complete a new trick called a shove it. But as I started the process of thinking I was going to learn it, all of the guys trying to help me learn were like, hey, this is going to probably result in you losing teeth before you figure it out. So I decided to hang it up, and I'm looking for a new trick for next year. Now we'll see what it is.
Now, if you weren't on tour, would you still go for it? Or
Oh yeah, absolutely. I mean, I would definitely be doing that. I would probably be riding motocross still. I would be snow skiing a lot more often than I have been. So I try to limit the factors that could potentially wipe my knees out. So and would result in me having to cancel tour dates. I try and limit those now.
how much when you're on the road? How often are you able to get out and maybe do some outdoors work, some biking, some wake surfing, some whatever, some golfing?
Yeah, we try to bake it in every day. That's what I love about tour is it gives us accountability because my band guys are out of 8 guys that I'm touring around with just on well, there's about 20 of us on the road, but 8 are available during the day to do stuff. And usually out of that group, somebody's wanting to make a healthy choice and can go be active and get from behind backstage and out of the, arenas and parking lots. So golfing is one of those outlets, obviously surfing, hiking. There's an app called All Trails that I love to use no matter where in the world I am. Even in metropolitan areas, you can kind of pull that app up and find some paths and how long they are, and it kind of gets you out and about. So I think this year, the new development I've seen is I've grown to love podcasting and learning as I get my steps in. So got a couple buddies that are trying to. Our benchmark minimum is 10,000 steps when we're on the road each day. So we're out, usually first thing in the morning, getting those steps in, and I've usually got some podcasts on, and I'm trying to learn something new.
When you go on all these trips, when you go on all these adventures, do you look it up yourself? You do the research, or do you have the other people say, "Hey, you know what? I got a good place for us to go check out."
I'm definitely doing it myself. We've been touring long enough now where I have friends in most stops throughout the year. It's kind of rare to do a tour day and there not be friends or family or friends of family or family of friends, whatever it is, that are there or close by. So a lot of our schedule is baked in. My band guys will call ahead if it's a golf day. They usually set the golf up. They're great at bartering tickets for some tee times and stuff like that. But no, we're very hands on, and kind of we see really how the week's shaping up. Just depending on when sound check is and if we're needing to work with gear or not, and then plan from there. So, like I said, most of our days are trying to find out how to be active before the show. I just feel like it sets us all up for a smoother night. It honestly helps us feel like we deserve a cocktail before we hit the stage, which is nice. And I think our shows have great results because of that.
Concert cities. What are your best 3 tour cities for outdoor stuff, for outdoor
That's a
sports?
great question. I love Bend, Oregon. That's
Ooh.
way high on the list. It's one of those towns that we like to try and swing through, as much as we can. I've become more and more of a fan of the mountains as we've toured. Early on in our tour career, I was kind of infatuated with the coasts just because I grew up going to the beaches and I love surfing. But as of recent, man, I love being in a mountain town. So do try to get a lot of good hiking in when we're around the Denver area. And I've got a buddy there that's got a lake in his backyard. He built his house and was able to get water rights. So he built his own lake. So we surf in his backyard there. So that's another stop that I really look forward to. Man, third on the list. I'm just kind of top of mind. What pops in my head first here? I would say this year the most surprising was, gosh, I need to get my phone and look at where it was. Just south of what's the racetrack in New York? What's the NASCAR that not White? Is it
Watkins
Glen?
Glen.
What's the other one up there? Maybe it was Watkins Glen. Is that New York?
I think yeah, that's
Just south of Watkins Glen is an old glacier lake, and it's beautiful clear water. And I made the decision after a day of surfing there that it's probably going to be a town I go back to just for fun on vacation. It wasn't a very busy lake, and just I couldn't imagine clear water. I mean, it was unbelievable how clear this lake was, and getting to surf out there was awesome. So just south of Watkins Glen, I forget the lake, which is driving me nuts right now. Actually, I know why I'm forgetting it, because I mispronounced it on stage and I still didn't get it right the night I was there. So for whatever reason, I can't remember it, but
right there.
Upstate New York was an amazing stop this year, and I can see us going back there for sure.
What is life on the road like? Like, what, besides just going from tour to tour, besides working out, besides having a concert at night, like what is it like just traveling in the back of a bus, in the back of a van for X amount of hours? Like what
it gets easier as you go. Each touring season for us, the first few weeks, you can tell people get grouchy because it's not normal to sleep. It pretty much, for lack of better terms, I mean, a coffin on a bus. That's how they're bunk beds on the bus. So you're literally rolling down, and most of the time in a bunk bed down the highway all night long. Between cities is how we travel. It's the most efficient way to do it. And once we get comfortable with it, you can get some decent sleep. I don't know if we're just used to not sleeping well, but we wake up and immediately hit the coffee machine and then try to get active to shake the cobwebs out. But that's what it is. I think you get in a rhythm. Where the body's resilient, on how it can adapt to sleeping well on a bus that's bouncing down the highway every night. And then it's just the challenge of making the right choices. There's obviously a lot of temptation with food, and you're in a new city and we need to go try this that they're famous for, or that, but just trying to stay regimented and controlled is and balanced is the challenge. So even though it's a crazy lifestyle, I think after repetition and people get in the swing of things, my crew's been doing it so long, man. We're road dogs. We're used to the lifestyle, and through the years, I can tell you honestly, we've got a lot more dialed in than we did at first.
What were the first moments like? What were the first years like on the road?
First years were like, well, I would say just not being educated on what to eat. So a lot of fast food, and then I think as life goes on, we're in a position now to where I think what gets us the most is like the after show food. So we get on stage, we burn a ton of calories up there because I'm bouncing around for about an hour and a half straight, and adrenaline's high and heart rate's rocking. Get off stage and need something, to replenish. And it's just making those better choices. And I think as the trajectory has gone the way it has, we have a little bit more asking power than we did when we were just a band of, single dudes in a van. You're kind of stuck with asking, the venue, the promoters, like, hey, they only had so much in the budget, and usually what was in the budget was pizza or Taco Bell. So now we stepped that up a notch, and I think you're eating a little bit better on the road.
Well, have you noticed that you've, I guess, perform better, feel better, a lot more longevity with a better nutrition habits, I guess you'd call it?
Yeah, I would say the last handful of years, and most recently, for about a year now, I've really figured out what works for my body and how I can feel level most of the day and night. Getting a tour with Keith Urban early on was a great string of lessons, just watching how regimented he was with how he scheduled his days out, what he ate before and after shows, to bring the best show he could possibly bring. But recently, I love limiting my eating to a window of time throughout the day. I've found that works best for me, and I don't, I never feel like I'm crashing. Now that I'm eating it right now consistently about an 8-hour window, and I never feel like I go through a crash or uh, I have like those bad nights where I don't sleep well. If I stick to my window, I usually get some pretty good sleep, and I'm not fighting some stuff I was fighting in the past. So I think, just as years have gone on, what works for me is that I've just figured out, I guess, from trial and error, tried different things. I'm like, man, why is this not working? How can I get better? And I feel like I've got it pretty dialed in right now.
Was there one in particular, one food, one supplement, just one change that made you go from A to B to peak performance?
I'll tell you what, for years on the road, I was looking to get more cut. And for whatever reason, I had in my head that all carbs were terrible. And man, I just started really hurting. Like I like aches and pains from the gym and just feeling like I didn't have a lot of energy that I was used to having. But I had slowly, it wasn't just a reactive type of no more carbs or it was slowly like I just had coached myself into less was better. And when I figured out that's what I was missing, and I reintroduced, getting some good carbohydrates, especially what I'm burning when I'm on tour. That energy, man, and that quick energy is what I was missing and needed. And I started, all the aches and pains started going away. I started having better workouts. So I just try to eat a balanced diet now. I do count, not, I'm not militant about it, but I do like to count what I'm eating and try to hit the same macro marks with my protein and carbs each day and not try to go overdo it. It is officially, though, I declared yesterday, dessert season. I go through that once a year. So I'm hitting the desserts hard now, probably through Thanksgiving. And
well, bulking season starts in September, right?
That's it, man. Yeah, I did. I trimmed up. I ran about probably 8 or 9 pounds lighter this summer than I've been running. And that was just a little bit of a diet change that I did. But I know I want to get those pounds back on it. Like you said, it is bulking season, and here we go. I'm going to enjoy the hell out of it.
And you cook your own meals, or do you have someone do it for you, or do you eat out all the time? How does that work on the road?
On the road, we have catering. So we have folks cooking for us. We love to switch it up. I'll have friends come out and grill out, do different things. We'll have chefs come out and do some different type of pop-ups, backstage at the buses. But a lot of the times it is catering. And then we always have backup on the bus. If it's a whiff, if the food doesn't seem right or safe to eat at a, whatever county fair or state fair we're at, or if we've had, a lot of these shows, you get kind of the same food over and over again. When you're cooking for hundreds of people at a show backstage, it's kind of tough to scale. So if it gets too repetitive, we'll have stuff on the bus that can get us by for a night.
What are some of your non-negotiables? I have to have this in my diet regardless.
Yeah, that's great. Man, I love grilling. I love meats. I love red meat. I love wild game. If I'm off the road, I'm usually eating elk or venison that I've harvested. That's really, or wild turkey. That's really important to me. I love how I have a few weeks at home and I'm wild game heavy. I feel like Superman. It's amazing the difference. It's probably a few things. I'm probably getting better sleep because I'm not bouncing down the road on a bus. But there's something about, I think wild game that is so next level and how it makes me feel. Maybe it's not for everybody, but that's what I love and take pride in. So I love to eat grilled meats, man. I think that's a non-negotiable. I can't imagine feeling great. Hello. I can't imagine feeling great without that in my diet, on a consistent
basis. Do you hunt?
Oh, yes. Yeah. I do. I love the great outdoors. And something, it's something that my granddad and dad introduced me to early on. And I just found a passion I love animals. I love plants. I love how the forest works together. And I'm an avid bow hunter. So my world is mostly obsessed with music and writing songs. Close second behind that is managing my farms and hunting. And I'm so passionate about hunting and fishing and being outside.
Final question. What is your signature dish when you do cook at home?
Signature dish right now. It's so funny you asked this question because I'm on my list of to-dos. I'm currently working at finishing up another pilot's license, my instrument license. And when I finish that, on my to-do list is to learn some new cooking dishes. But right now, I think the go-to is elk tenderloin on the grill. It's nothing crazy, but what I love about it is a lot of my friend circle has never had it, so it's exciting to them to introduce a brand new cut of meat. And I have a great rub that's actually as it's a brown sugar based rub that goes on it. So when you bite into this elk, it's you got to be very careful with the temperature with elk or to get pretty chewy on you. But if I've got it out into where I like it, and it's just the sweetest, most flavorful. I don't know. It's an explosion whenever I do it right. So that's probably been my favorite that I've introed everybody over the past year.
Another most important question: do you pack your own bags on the road?
It depends. I most weeks I have an assistant that helps me out, which allows me to not stress over getting laundry done, flipped around. I kind of stepped back and I was like, okay, what tasks am I doing that are stressing me out, that maybe I could outsource? And laundry is one of those things that, come home and I've got to get stuff cleaned, switched out, and then try to look my best on stage and when I'm, doing appearances and stuff. So I have help doing that a lot. And that's taken a lot off my plate. Now I'm still packing for myself. I'm still double checking everything, but the initial, hey, this is, here it is all laid out. Are you cool with it? I have some help, which is a lot of fun and definitely has changed my life.
Are there any essentials that you have to have, non-negotiables, they got to go through on every trip you go in your gym bag?
In my gym bag?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Definitely. Well, let's see. Essentials. I mean, I don't think there's anything out of the ordinary. We try and pack a workout, shorts and shirt for every day. I'm completely sweating through every article of clothing on stage every night. So, yeah, I go through a lot of clothes in a day, man. Whenever we're touring, it's like kind of a hangout outfit, a gym outfit, a show outfit. So I don't know. I'm probably through four complete changes in a day. But yeah, must-haves. I mean, just the normal stuff. I don't have anything, I don't think, out of the ordinary when I'm packing.
So how much energy goes into a concert?
A lot. I kind of want to. I need to wear a monitor one night and just see what I'm actually doing. But my heart rate is cooking on stage. Breath control is a huge thing as a singer, and whenever you're out there jumping around and the adrenaline's rushing, the heart rate's skyrocketing. I bet I ride, in the 120s, probably get up to mid 150s, I would guess, throughout the set. And we're doing 90 minutes. So it's kind of a built-in cardio class every night up there, bright lights, and you're doing a workout in full clothes. So, it's taxing, but it's fun. Hydration's huge, obviously. Whenever I'm sweating that much, but also as a singer, needing to keep the vocal cords and all the muscles in tip-top shape. Just watching how much water intake that I'm making sure happens, and limiting the dehydrating, drinks after the show is definitely a big help too.
And what's the most taxing part? Where is it? Like, is it the adrenaline rush? Is it the actual performance going from bouncing from one end of the stage to the other part of the stage? Is it singing? Is it everything combined? What takes the most energy out of you? And like, when do you start? Most important, when do you start feeling it? Well, I'm getting tired.
Oh, and a lot of the times it's heat. If it just gets, we have some shows where heat and humidity is through the roof, and people in the crowd are sweating just standing there. I'm under bright lights and jumping around and fully clothed. But yeah, I think it's the heat. There's obviously a lot of steps that go into a show, but doing it long enough, and doing it consistently as a singer, there's a difference in gym shape and show shape. No matter how much I work out, usually those first handful of shows, maybe the first handful of weeks of the year on tour, I find myself short, not, I would say, yeah, I would guess short of breath, or my diaphragm isn't used to the workload of pushing all that air as I'm, going through the motions. And um, that would be where I can really feel it physically. Once I get in show shape, I'm good to go, man. I can roll with it.
Would you have to scale back then a little bit on the gym work when you're actually on tour, just to not overdo it?
I always keep in mind my legs, um, not to go too hard on, if it is a day where I'm doing legs in the gym lifting, I try not and overtax them, or I tried, if it's going to be a long show, I try not to do a crazy strenuous hike, because if my legs are gassed, I don't feel like I'm as animated as I want to be on stage, just because I'm kind of favoring, well, maybe I don't have to go over there. I'm going to just go over a little bit slower tonight. So I feel like maybe my performance could suffer possibly from not being as impactful if I don't have a lot of gas in the legs. It's just, I think, just paying attention, just like we're athletes, taking the field. You're not going to have a super hard leg day before you go play Sunday football. You want to do your warm ups and have everything moving and functional, but not be completely gassed when we go out there. So that would be the one. Other than that, I really, I like to go hard in the gym, man. For whatever reason, the pump, the blood that gets flowing, I sing better. It feels like I just open up, my lungs open up. So I love to be, before every show we do, and this isn't directly before, but at least the day of, I love to go out and really get a good workout in. I just watch how much I do, like I said, on legs before we hit the stage.
Have you ever learned that the hard way, as far as bad legs?
Oh yeah, I've learned it the hard way. On some touring, I've had friends come out that are trainers, or another artist that's on the festival or show will have, this or that trainer backstage, and it's like, hey, let's get a workout in, and go and do a workout that my body's not used to. And in one particular, it was a heavy leg day, and I had little bird, I guess little baby deer legs, whenever I hit the stage, and that was not fun at all, man. Trying to walk around in cowboy boots with shaky calf muscles is not ideal. So I learned very quickly there. It's like, oh, we gotta learn how to say no when it comes down to that.
What is your normal workout routine like?
I would say consistently through the years, I've always kept it fresh and rotated. This past year, I tried to do 3 days of weights. Let's call it Monday, Wednesday, Friday was probably the most consistent days I was doing. And then, on the weekends, it's easy for me to get cardio done. But most days trying to get 10,000 steps, Tuesdays, Thursdays, we're definitely going to hit those. And just watching, tracking, hey, am I being active every day? It's easy to be, especially when I'm writing on the road. If I have collaborators out and we're trying to write for the album, those days are consumed with just sitting there thinking about song ideas. So even though we're out on the road, I'm just literally in one place on the bus or, backstage all day long. So making sure that I built in an hour or two to go on a walk or go on a jog and keep those steps up, and make sure I was just staying active consistently throughout this year. And I was really happy with where I was sitting all summer long. I felt better on stage. I definitely trimmed down a lot. I lost some muscle mass from where I had been in years past, but I was okay with it because I just felt like I was singing better and a little bit lighter in my boots, on as far as like bouncing around on stage. I wasn't tiring like maybe I had in the past. Like I said, I was this year, I was about 8 pounds down from where I'd been running the last several. And I think, watching, really, really paying attention to what I was eating, going and making sure I was staying active a little bit more consistently got me there. And it's fun, man. Like my close friends, my family, noticed. My sister called me up like, man, you look great. What have you been doing? And I just shared that with her. It's like, here's what I've been up to, and I'm liking it. But now it's dessert season, like I said, and we're going to take a little break and get after it.
Is there one exercise every musician should be incorporating into their routines?
Yes, one exercise they should be is consistently singing. I think if you're going singer specific, nothing can help you in the gym like consistently singing correctly, and making sure the diaphragm is as strong as possible. I think, too, as a singer, the core, you're really pushing, um, you know, uh, a good technique is to try and sing from your belly button. So you're really using that core and engaging that core throughout the show. And cardio would be right behind it, just because um, it's tough to sing if you're out of breath. So you got to have that. You got to have the heart rate under control, and you got to have your breathing dialed in. And cardio helps a lot with that.
Now, when it comes to writing a song, is there a formula that you have, a daily formula that you go through every day to complete it? You wake up at 5 o'clock and say, hey, we're going to put 4 hours in or 5 hours in and just sit there and write? Or do you just pick a time, or just does it come naturally to you? Does it just, do you freestyle? How does that work for
Yeah,
music?
I try and remind myself to stay on record, just be thinking about ideas. That's proven to be um, successful for me, but I'm not one of those writers that religiously has a time slot. This is when I write. I have to get in a flow state. Ideas for me come usually in a stream and bundles. I'll kind of hit a little streak for a day or two where, oh my God, I'm always in my phone just coming up with stuff. And then I'll go for a while and nothing happens. I go and live a little bit, and I'll come back and get inspired again. I've learned that's just what works for me. I have other buddies that work very concrete and very regimented. And this is when I think, this is when I journal, this is when I write. But for me, it's just live and try to find that flow state and be inspired. And that's just what's worked with me through the years. And I've continued to kind of hone that for myself personally. And it's been doing good so far.
Is it easier now? I mean, was this latest album, was it easier to come up with the songs, or is it just hard like anything else, but you just have now a better formula for doing it then?
I don't think it's easier. I think I have a better formula. I think I've become a lot more efficient with how I'm writing, who I'm writing with through the years, just figuring out what guys and girls can get me in this vulnerable flow state that needs to happen to create music out of nothing. And no, I don't think it's got any easier at all. The bar is just as high. It's something that hits you hard as a young artist and writer. When you release a song and you see it next to the charts of guys and girls that are your heroes and then the Hall of Fame and filling up stadiums, like that's the playing field, that's the bar, that's who we're competing with. So it definitely, the bar's high, but I think efficiency and then also becoming confident with what I want to say as an artist and sing every night helps that too.
How do you snap out of a rut or a writer's block?
Just not stress about it. And I've gone through that where it's like, oh my gosh, sometimes when you finish an album, we start promoting a new album. Like right now with Killed the Cowboy, we're talking about the new album, but it's an album I've worked on for the past 2 years. And now I'm back at zero starting for the next one that's going to come. So it can be daunting looking at it like that, but it's just try not to force it. I always remind myself that you got to live to have something to say, so can't be scared just to go and be. And usually when I'm not focused on having to come up with something, I live a little bit and can kind of section off some creative times around that. And then look back and write about it, write about what I went through, what about, about what I felt, go back and if there were any ideas that I jotted down when I was quote living, when it's time to create, then I can go in and dive in and see what that was.
Now, was there ever one good piece of advice that somebody gave to you, whether it was starting off, whether it was in the middle of a tour, whether it was whenever, or in a rut or whatever, that somebody gave to you that you just said, you just stuck with you and just said, hey, I go back, I fall back on this every time I think about whatever?
Yeah, I think this was early on when I was really trying to figure out the record business in Nashville. I was at a showcase for a new group, and there was an older gentleman there. I don't know what his past was, but he was up at his years, and it seemed to me like he had been in the business for a while, just his demeanor. And, we were just kind of small talking, sitting around the bar. And he said, man, that you know, the key is just being prepared when the opportunity presents itself for you. If you want to be an artist, be prepared. And I've never forgot that. It's like, okay, that's heavy. You know, if you really think about it, be prepared for what? Well, I mean, as an artist, I've got to have my performance chops down. I've got to have the music. I've got to just have I've got to have the total package ready to rock. So when opportunity comes, I can execute it. And it hasn't changed. You know, I think we still look for great opportunities 10 years into this thing. And especially when we hit the stage every night, that's an opportunity to win over new fans for life. And to make sure we're putting on the best show we possibly can. A lot goes into that.
So what happens on the days where it's not perfect? Like I said, when it is 120 degrees out, then you have to improvise, and you know it's uncomfortable, it's bad, and it's not going to be, like I said, it's not going to be easier. How do you work through that? Is it just a professional mindset saying, hey, you know what, suck it up, get through it, and then have a better day tomorrow? How do you overcome, like, just like I guess on the spot obstacles?
Well, just like with anything, the bad days make the good days even better. And I don't think there's a bad day on tour. There's obviously unpleasant conditions, but it's a challenge. And if you look at it that way, it's like, hey, let's go. We still have to go out here and win, especially, you know, if we're talking shows, our fans are there in it too. So we're, you know, they're coming out and bringing it. We're going to bring it with them, you know, sun, rain, whatever, snow. We've played in the snow before. That sucks. But fans are out there wanting to show and wanting to catch a vibe with us. And here we come. So I think that's what makes touring fun. It keeps touring fun. It keeps live music. You never know what's going to happen. Every show's different. Sometimes I'm in a super playful, goofy mood on stage. Sometimes I'm feeling more serious about myself, and I'm sure that shines a little bit through, you know, in each performance. But I embrace all of that. You know, you can't have the perfect, you know, conditions every time, and we know that as a touring band. And it's just make the most of it, because our fans are number one. You know, make sure that we can do the best we can do, and they walk away that night knowing we did that, and make a good memory with it.
Last question: what do new fans? What should they expect at a Dustin Lynch concert?
Well, you know, on this next tour, we're just going to be embracing some of this new music off Killed the Cowboy, which explores where I'm at personally, navigating being single, and you know, celebrating the single people, but also hoping that our shows bring some single people together to mix and mingle and find their person. I'm currently trying to find out what I want. You know, am I settling down? Am I going to keep enjoying freedom and adventure like I am currently? I don't know, but what they can expect at our shows is a damn good party. We want to provide an atmosphere where people can come and let loose, and meet some new friends, maybe meet your life partner, and make great memories with us, baby.
Perfect. Dustin, man, thank you so much, man. Great time. I could have asked you 500 more questions, but
we'll have to do it again. Thank you so much. This is a lot of fun.
All right, man. Thank you.